Today we're reshaping the Monstera and the Epipremnum pinnatum. Hello guys and welcome back to the Cozy Jungle. So what we're going to be doing today is going through the two Monsteras that I've got behind me, the two smaller ones, not the big mother plant that we've got in the corner, and then also the small variegated Epipremnum pinnatum, effectively the pothos. So we're going to be putting both of those together in one pot. Now I'm doing this because I want to try and design a plant pot rather than just put plants in a pot. Because as much as it's good fun, I also like to experiment and see whether or not we can try some different styles. Because ultimately we want the spaces of our homes to be filled with plants that look great and feel great. So what I'm going to be doing, and what I have done, which I'm going to show you in just a moment, is I've managed to grab a branch from a tree and we're going to be turning that into the foundation of what would have been a moss pole and get it to climb up this log. So the plan is to try and find something that I can use to potentially get one of the plants to climb up. That's actually a pretty decent one. So I think I might snap a little bit of that off, that'll do. Oh. This one's pretty good. That might actually do. Give that a bit of a clean up. It's actually quite a tall one. Basically just need it for Monstera, so I think that'll do. So the log that I've got is this giant thing here. Now you'll see most of it in a second because it's going to be behind me, but we've got a very, very long kind of curly stick. It's pretty much dried out, which is great. I've cleaned it up as best as I can, so we've got no bugs or anything hovering around this thing. I'm going to spray it as well just to make sure it's all nice and safe. Now this is going to be going into a pot with the two Monsteras that I've got behind me, and then also the variegated pinnatum. So this one right here. Now the hopes is that I'm going to be able to place all of them together and get them to climb. So as you can see, they're beautiful variegations and it's coming through really, really well. So we want to make sure that both of them do very, very well. Now I'll take you through step by step. We're going to be behind me throughout this whole thing. I'll talk you through and I'll show you how I'm doing things, but I'm really looking forward to this. I've been excited about trying this. And if it works out well, I've actually got an even bigger stick that I'm going to be using for the mother plant. So fingers crossed it all goes well. So first things first, what we need to do is pick the size of the pot that we're after. Now the Monstera that I've got behind me, this one here, is in a fairly sized pot. It's in a fairly good sized pot. So if I show you what it looks like at the moment, this is how it's looking. So it is doing very, very well. I don't have anything to keep it standing at the moment, which is why it's naturally leant forward. It is fairly propped up by its own aerial roots, but they are doing pretty well as a whole. The leaves are fairly healthy. I think all it needs is just a little bit of tender love and care, repotting, and the best thing to do for that is to put it in this here, which is just slightly bigger in terms of size. I'd say we're going up by maybe an inch or two in size around the whole pot. But because we're going to be incorporating the other plant as well, the other Monstera here, also together with this, and then also having the Epipremnum put in, it's going to have a compact position in this one pot. So what we're going to need to do first of all is stabilize this into position, and then we can start to incorporate some of the other plants. So first things first, let's move these out the way, and then from there we're going to prop this in, and then we can get started. So what we're going to have to do, I think, first of all, is make sure that there's a good position of drainage. So I think if we do this first and prop this up in the right position, I think this is going to be the foundation point. It's the heaviest bit in the corner. Now I think the best solution is to have it fairly close to the center, but not quite to the point that it's right in the corner or the center, because it's just going to take too much space in the plant. So we're going to tip this in first of all, and then hope that we can get it in a good position and go from there. So the next step is to then fill this up with a little bit more, I'd say, bark, and then we can mix it in with our normal houseplant mix. So we're going to make sure that when we're doing this, we can actually get this to stand up correctly. So it's going to be a bit of a tricky one to make sure that this is propped up, because it does sit okay-ish, but we want to make sure that once I put everything in, it's not just going to suddenly collapse and then damage all of the plants. So for now, I'm going to make it fairly compact near towards the bottom, and then we're going to get started with putting everything in. So I think first of all, what we need to do is to get the other plants in through this method of just getting the soil that we've already got here and then placing it in and making sure it's nice and compact. So effectively all I'm going to have to do is hold both this branch here, which is nice and awkward, and then also put this in. Now, as you can see at the bottom portion of here, there's actually a lot of roots at the bottom, which means that it's definitely ready to be moved into another pot. Now, ideally I should have done this during the summer, but hey, you win some, you lose some. So let's get started in breaking this down and then getting this in. So let's loosen this up, get the soil nice and broken down, and then all we're going to do from here is try to gently feed this through, which it's doing right now, and then making sure I don't make too much of a mess. We're going to prop this out. There it is. Nice. Okay, so this is now out. So let's break some of this down, because what we're going to have to do is to try and shape this and move this into the position that is going to best suit this plant to climb up. So let's loosen all of this. Now there's already a lot of healthy roots, as you can see here. It's amazing. So look, I mean, look at the root system on there. It's absolutely incredible, which is great. I'm extremely happy with that. So now what we need to do is to try and shape this around this plant, this log. So we need to try and get these roots wrapped around as much of this as we can, and get these aerial roots nice and close in as well. That's going to be our foundation, and then we can work from there. Now the trouble is because I've put so much soil in here, I've got to make sure that the roots are actually getting down quite low, because if they don't, we're going to start to see a lot of water being caught down at the bottom. As much as I've got the drainage in here, it's a bit risky, because we're going to end up getting what will end up being a lot of potential root rot. So all I'm doing here is trying to dig up a little bit of a gap in between some of this, and then gently pressing these roots into place. That's just going to make sure that it's nice and deep in towards the actual pot. It's going to continue to grow down as well, and then solidify itself into place. Now I've done a good job of managing to wrap a lot of this around, so we've got to make sure now that it sticks together, but if I let go, we're actually in for a winner. So we're just going to continue to put this in. Then all I'm going to do once we're in this correct position is I'm going to get it to sit in place comfortably, and then we are good to move on to the next one. Now one thing to note with a lot of this is that with a Monstera, if you do get a lot of aerial roots, that can be a pretty damn good thing, because it means that if you don't want them to hang out, you can actually put them back into the soil, which I've done with this Monstera as well, because it's put it in a position which is actually really healthy for the plant to ground itself in. So even though it might feel like, oh, what do I do with these aerial roots? Actually, it's fine to place them back into the pot, because it is a healthy thing for it to do. So let's get some of this. And all I'm going to do is just make sure that it's tightly held, but not too tight that it's going to start to cause damage at all. Just enough that I know it's going to be fairly secure in position. Right, there we go, wicked. So that is one down. I'm thinking, yeah, do you know what? I think this is probably going to look a lot better because I want it to actually climb the majority of this. So tell you what we're going to do. We're going to leave the other Monstera and we're going to put this Epipemnum pinatum in, the Pothos, Variegated Pothos, and then we should be all good just to top it up with a little bit more soil, and then we are all done and dusted, which is going to be amazing. Prop this out. Now I've literally only held this just by a stick and some strings. However, that's now done and dusted, so we can take that away. Now I already know that this is ready to come out because there's loads of roots sticking out at the bottom, so we're already good there. And then all I'm going to do with this, it's got the same potting mix. I'm going to prop this out and I'm going to try and take some of the strings off as well. Just going to make sure that this is all held into the correct position. Let's just break some of this down, tip some of this in. And this all started from a very, very small propagation. So it was absolutely fine, literally just 1 or 2 leaves and that was it. The rest of the time, it was just growing into this. So it's done really, really well in this short space of time because I did that at the same time that I repotted my Thai Constellation Monstera. And then we already know the root system is absolutely incredible, so let's just break all of this down. I'm just trying to loosen this up a little bit here so that I can get the root systems dug down a little bit deeper than what this has been doing. Because as you can see here, the root system's actually insane. So let's get this final bit done and dusted. Okay, now I'm thinking if I loop this through this way here, then just tuck this around a little bit more. I don't want to bend it too much and cause it too much stress and trauma because that's not going to do anything but cause more harm to the plant. So I'm thinking that's going to be close to being it here. And you know what? That's actually stuck itself in really, really well. So I think, hopefully, if I've got that in the right spot, we should be pretty close to getting that in towards the bottom of the pot. Yeah, I just need to lower it down a little bit more, I think, and then we are all good. So let's draw this down a tad bit more. Let's give it some more room. So I think yeah, do you know what, that is absolutely spot on. I think we've got the design. Right, nothing too dramatic. We just want to be in a position where we can lock this into place. So all I'm going to do here is add to this position of the plant. Okay, so a little bit of tricky wiring here. We're going to feed this through, and that is going to help us solidify this into place. I'm just going to make sure again that we don't cause any damage. We don't want to press it in too much and then cause too much stress to the plant. Now I think that's going to be a perfect position there. Now let's just make sure that's all tightened up fairly well. Do you know what? I say the next part, I don't need to do any of it. I think that's it. It's going to hold itself in place from just that position. So, do you know what? I think that is perfect. Let's just get this leaf nice and gently through. There we go. Perfect. Okay, right, we've pretty much done it. So now all I need to do is get some final bits of soil, make sure that's all pressed down, and we are all done and dusted. Hey, look at that. We have a whole new design of a plant. We've got 2 plants put together. We've got the Monstera and we also have our Epipemnum prenapum. Hopefully I said that correctly, but it's the Variegated Pothos. We're going to get this to climb up hopefully all the way to the very top, and then what we're going to do is continue to propagate some of it as time goes on, and we're going to place some more things around the bottom We'll get some more designs in there. We'll give it a nice pot, but we're going to place this back into the position of where it was before. I just need a bigger tray at the bottom, but we are all done. I'm really happy with it. So, all finished. And there we have it. It's now done and dusted. As you can see, it's all finished. Thank you very much for watching. As you can see, I've got a little bit of a sweat on having to do all of this in a small confined space of a room, but we've managed to do it. And I'm very, very happy with the results. Please let me know what you think about what I did today and whether or not I should try something different. Because ultimately what we're trying to do here is create a fun environment that's also peaceful and exciting to see the plants thrive and grow. So again, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. And let's get the cozy jungle to as many houses as we can.